3, Angelo Burrell, Mia Fong, Michaela Jackson, edits by Michaela, made by Mia Shop, Intangible Incorporated. So you guys are really doing you guys' thing right now in Los Angeles, and I'm excited, to talk to you guys about how you guys have been blowing up and the processes it took and everything. So let's start with you, Michaela. Well, actually, let's start with you. Like, let's talk about, how you guys grew up, where you guys grew up, and just got a little bit about yourself, you guys' background.
Yeah, so like Josh said, my name is Michaela Jackson. I'm 17 years old. I currently attend Sarah. I live in Gardena. I'm from Gardena. Basically, my brand started back in 2019, which was my junior year. At my school, I was like always involved in these different programs, and they always made me make the flyers. So at first, it just started off as that, like just me being creative, and then it eventually evolved into me making flyers for like my homegirls and my friends. And then my friend was like, all my friends are asking like, who made this flyer, and I don't have anywhere to send them. Like they were like, I don't have anywhere to send them. You need to make an Instagram account. So I'm like, I didn't. It wasn't really something that I really wanted to do. I'm not gonna lie. At first, like I was like, no, like this was just something I did as a favor. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I'm gonna make the account. This is something that I'm gonna invest in. So I made this ugly logo, which at the time I thought was so cute. It was a cheetah print background. It had a crown, and then it was this Times New Roman 5, and it said, "Ed is by Michaela." So I made the Instagram account, and then I shouted myself out my main, and then here we are.
Like Josh said, my name is Mia. I'm from LA. I started my brand back in March. She actually did my logo for me, so shout out to her. But I started selling reworked sweatshirts, so I would like really be like sewing everything, and then from there I did tie-dye. But I didn't really feel like that was like reflective of myself, and I didn't really like what I was putting out. So that's when I made the transition to sweatshirts and hoodies. So now I do cut and sew garments. So I do crew necks, zip ups, hoodies, and sweats.
My name is Angelo Burrell. I'm from South Central, Crenshaw District to be exact, and my brand is called Intangible. Intangible kind of like embodied me in like 10th grade. Like we were in class and like we were like reading like the vocabulary words, and the teacher was like intangible, and the homie was like intangible Angelo, and then like I looked at the word and I was like, damn, this is a dope word, and I just kind of ran with it. Like so ever since then it's just kind of been that. It didn't really become a brand until like spring of 2018 was when like I was running track at West LA College, and I made myself a dad hat. It had this little font, and it just said intangible. It was like very simple. And then like my teammates was like, "Oh, what's that? We want one." And I was like, "Nah, y'all can't have one. Like this mine. Like you feel me? Like." And then they just like, "Oh, we gonna pay you." Like, and I was like, "All right." And then like my dad had to connect to where I made this at. So I was just like, and after that it just kind of like translated, kind of grew. I had to find out like what I wanted to create. So everything I create is kind of like a reflection of myself. It's like a story.
That's dope. Now, what, like you guys said, you guys came from you guys respected areas, but what and who may have influenced you? You can start with the book. What may have influenced you, or who may have influenced you to start, with the hats and with your whole, just the whole everything?
Alright, so I would say like some of my main influences would have been like with the hats would just be me growing up playing baseball. Like that's my primary sport. I've been playing since I was 4 years old. So we've always had like a fresh fitted or fresh hat. Like go to the mall like before games. Oh, can I get that instead of wearing the little Velcro ones? So I always like fitted hats. And another influence I would say would have to be like my father. Like my dad. Like he was like an all-time hustler. Like you feel me? He sold anything and everything. Like he didn't primarily have a brand, but he knew how to like network and hustle. And another person would have been Black Sam, like of Marathon Clothing. That was somebody like who I would always like after school, after baseball practice, run up there like, oh, can I get a fresh shirt for the Crenshaw game? And I always had good grades and stuff, so he always like would teach me the game. Like that's just somebody I didn't know I was gonna have a clothing brand, so just by even like watching them grow and do all of that, it kind of just was like it just snapped. It just kind of made sense. So that was like another influence.
Would you say that rest in peace to Nipsey also? But would you say that having them like in the community and everything that they did was a big influence on you to keep going, and like how did they inspire you to continue to what you're doing, even elevate your business?
Really, but I would say like just them being there, like like just having something like because when I went to Crenshaw, I could have went to Dorsey, I could have went to Hamilton, but like their brand, like the Crenshaw shirts, everybody, so it was like something like it made the school pride even bigger, like in the community, like you feel me? So we wearing the shirts to the football games and just being there, like I was there one day, like it was late, I was waiting on my dad to pick me up, and like just seeing like the way they move, like they were actually like very smart with business. Like they had like a whole bunch of money they showed me, like, and they was like, oh, you see all of this? Oh, this is like for bills. You feel me? So like we gotta take care of this before we can do anything else. So just seeing them like just really be men, like at the end of the day, that kind of made me be like, okay, like I want to be like that.
What inspired you? Who inspired you to get into the game?
Honestly, I've always been into fashion, but I think I really got started when I was on Melrose last year with my cousin. I'm seeing all these like clothes. So like I said, I started off like reworking and actually like totally taking apart and redoing sweatshirts and stuff. So I like saw all these brands selling it for like $200. I'm like, I could do this at home, and it was like dope stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that and I'm just gonna sell it and run with it. And I remember like doing my first photo shoot. I'm like standing on a chair, like have my stuff out on a sheet, and I'm like taking pictures. And I like posted it, and I was like, this is cool. Like I don't know if people are gonna mess with it, but it's cool. I posted it, like people started DMing me. I'm like, okay. So then it started from there. But what really inspired like my LA stuff, I think it's just like being around people and just like everyone I know, like in the community. Like when I was growing up, I ran track for the LA Jets, and I think that has definitely influenced me in terms of like my values and like hard work and like putting it in and everything.
That's dope. The like we got right here the dice and the created the dice. Yeah. So talk to me about how that came about. Like what got you started with dice?
Okay, well honestly, like I remember I was like in the car with like two of my friends, and like someone had called me and they're like, yeah, like I'm about to go to a dice game. I was like, okay. And then I like got to thinking, and I was like, it'd be cool. Like, what if I just put that on my jacket? And so I remember like I told my mom, and she was like, oh yeah, like I'll get a drill, whoop de whoop. And so like we did it, and I put it on, and I was like, oh, like this is cool. Like I remember I started making like hoodies like that, but it had like an LA logo and bandana, and so the dice would match the bandana. And I was like, yeah, this is smooth. And I posted it, and then it just from there it took off.
All right. So and then you said that you started, as Sarah, like you were just making something for the school, but is there someone that told you like you could really go a long way with this, or you're really good with this? Was it specifically your classmates or anyone that was at Sarah, or was it just like a family member, or like what was it?
Yeah, so at first I was making these edits strictly from my phone. Like I didn't have my iPad nor my Apple Pen. And my mom was like, if this is something you really want to do, like let's get to it. Like let's do it. Let's start up. So now my mom bought me my Apple Pen and my iPad, and then from there my mom has just always encouraged me, helped me. She'll send me like videos or TikToks that she finds about graphic design. But yeah, that's when it started. I started off, like I said, with just flyers, and then people would DM me like, hey, do you make logos and YouTube intros? And me being me, I don't like to say no, especially if I haven't tried it. So what I would do is I'll teach myself. I'll be like, hold on, like I'm gonna get back to you on that. I'll go home, stay up all night, just working, trying to figure out how to do this, and I'll get back to the client like, here it is, like yes, I can do this for you. And then from there, yeah, but my family, specifically my mom, has been very supportive of all this. She really like influenced me to keep going with it and really sat down with me and helped me when it came to doing all this, because my business is just me. I don't have like an assistant. Well, I do have an assistant who does like the cartoon illustrations, but aside from that, everything is one-on-one, me and the client one-on-one. Either texting, calling, email, or DM, but everything was me. So I didn't really have any like support or guidance, specifically because there's not a lot of graphic designers, especially from LA out there. Like it was just me. I was 15. I was 15 when I first started. So I didn't really have any guidance. My mom, she really was there with me throughout everything. But
That's an interesting thing, and that's a good point. Like we don't have a lot of graphic designers, especially you being 17. Like normally when you try to find your design, you go on the website, like we were talking about before, you go on the website, or you go on one of these, apps or something, they charge you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes it's not exactly what you want. So, but like I was like on the show, like we have like this show is an age gap. So you're 22, you're 19, you're 17. So when you guys started, like I know you posted on Instagram, like you made a bucket hat, and you were like you said you started at 14. So 2014, right? So how just the growth, like how would you say, like how was it when you started, and now that you're looking now, it's like I did that when I was that age, and now I'm here doing stuff like this, and it's like how do you feel that the growth has been for you?
Well, honestly, that's the thing. Like when I was doing the bucket hats and like sketching notebook clothes, like it was just like it was intangible energy. Like it was just for me. Like I never thought like I would have a brand or like it would grow. Like you feel me? Like a lot of people even tell me like they like the IA. Like they were like, oh, can you just put the IA on the shirt? That means like you feel me? Something I'm doing is kind of like translating. So I would say like the growth has been just like I feel like the bigger the brand grows, the bigger I grow. Like if I'm not growing as a person or becoming a better person, the brand won't grow or become a better. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's like me.
Yeah. What about like you, like your growth? Like when exactly did you start?
Well,
Like start with the
with this
collections and
season,
everything.
so I started this type of stuff September of last year. I just really felt like I had to make a change with my brand and put out stuff that I felt was representative of myself and that I really liked. Because I did like a lot of tie dye. That's how I got started. I probably sold like 150 tie dye tank tops. Like it was a lot. And then, but it's like at the same time, like that's not something I'm gonna sit here and wear. It's just something that was selling. But I used that money to like make a website and then kind of establish myself from there. And then I feel like once I got my site, people were like, okay, this is like more like a legitimate business. And I guess that's just people taking me seriously. So I'm about to start taking myself seriously to put out something that I believe in, and I feel like people can tell when you put a certain amount of effort into your clothes and you put a certain amount of effort into your designs and stuff. People is like can feel that, and I feel like it's conveyed. So I feel like that's what I had to do.
How do you feel, like when you started from September to now, like the growth has been for you, like overall? Like how do you think for you personally that is? How do you think? Like what would you scale? Like what would you scale yourself?
Like rating?
Yeah. What do you think the growth has been from that time to now?
Okay. I would probably say like a 6 or a 7 because I started, the LS stuff. That's not my really design. That's the Dodgers. But like for this collection, I did my design on my stuff. Stayed up on Photoshop. Typing it in. Photoshop. I just want to say it's frustrating. It's like
Trust me, I know.
like I already know as a designer, too. Like putting that work in, it's hard, but it's something that you gotta learn how to do. But I think the biggest step of growth for me was like now I actually have inventory and all my garments, especially like the pullover hoodies and the pants, they're all cut and sew. So I pick out the fabric, I pick out the finishes, I pick out every aspect of it. So it's like complete creative control, and I think that's definitely something that signifies growth as a brand.
And then for you, like, cause you really are blowing up. Like when people need a flyer, a wallpaper,
Yes, sir.
YouTube intro, anything. I know people are coming to you because I've come to you a lot for some stuff already. So, for your growth, like, how would you say it's been for you?
Yeah, well, growing up, I was always like creative and helpful, but I didn't know how to pursue it. Like, I didn't know how to fully express myself, and I didn't know who I wanted to be. So when I finally launched Edits by Makayla, like starting off, like I told you guys, I had this ugly flyer. Like I was still learning marketing. At 15 years old, I was still trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I do this, and how can I profit from it? How can this be something that I really invest in, and it's something that I can actually do? So yeah, that's when I had to really sit down and I got my page together, and then I had to say, like, okay, now you're going to be working for other people. Like my job is solely around pleasing people, making sure that I get what they want done. So my business, I really think, shaped me as a person as well. It taught me how to communicate with other people, marketing, how to work social media, how to work graphic design. Like I see my growth like so much. Even if you just look at my Instagram, like if you scroll down to the bottom, I keep all my old stuff on there because I want people to see that. I want people to see what my edits look like in 2019 to now, so that they can see like she's working, like she's evolving, she's growing. All my old stuff is still on my page because I want it to be shown. I don't want it to delete it and like erase it, because I feel like people want to see growth. Like I'm not perfect. There's some times where I made an edit and I'm like, dang, that ain't good. But like it's growth and it's a learning lesson. So I truly believe that through my business, like even visually, like I've added more stuff. Like I said, I started off strictly as a graphic designer, so it was only flyers and YouTube intros. Then I added the business cards, which was my rebranding, and that launch was so big. Like when I added my business cards and my thank you card and stickers and stuff, it was so big, and everybody was on it, especially during quarantine, because everybody wanted to start a business, and they're like, we need logos, we need business cards. And I'm like, this is my time. Like that's what I was telling my mom. I'm like, Mom, like everybody is coming to me for logos and stuff, and it was cool to see. Like I get chills talking about it, because I would have never thought, like, ever that my business would grow this much.
A really cool thing that you said was like you talked about like you did the sewing and you put in a lot of the hard work. A lot of people want to know like the step-by-step process and how it is for you guys in specific fields. So talk to us about like start from step one to how where you go get the clothes, and how do you make sure the quality is right. Like people want to know the step-by-step process of how to be elite and what you guys are doing.
Alright, so I think I would say when I first started doing like the sweats and hoodie, I just went up to Main Street. I think all streetwear people like you get that $8 hoodie from any shop on Main Street. So honestly, I started doing that, and then I'm getting more money, so I'm just putting it back into me. And so I connected with somebody for cut and sew. That didn't really end up working out, so I had to go to a new person. They're over in Hawthorne, but yeah, so I go to them and then I just say like, oh, like I need to get like 70 hoodies cut. But the thing about clothes that a lot of people I don't think understand is you need patterns for everything, and there's a lot that goes into even like what you have on right now that you probably never thought about. So then I went to them and I was like, oh, I want to get my hoodies made, whatever. And then they were like, okay, so you gotta go get your fabric. So my first time ever getting my own fabric, I was like grossly overcharged, but like I got it figured out, and I go to like a warehouse now. But for like people who want to get started in that, I think the good fabric shops are on like 8th and Wall Street in particular. I think that area has a lot of good like wholesale fabric places, and then from there you get it cut, and then you get it sewn, and then you go to your printer, and then you get your print put on it. It's a lot of little steps, but I think that it's very valuable because you can control, like he's talking about quality. When you go to a factory, when you go to a warehouse for fabric and you pick out your fabric and you feel in it, you can tell what's good and what's not.
So if you you're in the hat game.
Yeah, like mostly in the hat
You're in
game.
the hat game. So it's clothing, but it's a whole different type of style. And what I noticed is that like a lot of people, the trucker hats have been like past couple of years, trucker hats are coming back, and a lot of people are wanting to style them again. So for you, like, what's your step-by-step process like with the hats?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop some gems for you, man. I got you. Alright, so like my step-by-step process is like really like I don't try to force anything when it comes to an idea. Like they usually just hit me. Like you feel me? And like my most creative hours are from like 1 in the morning to 6 in the morning. Like I'll just be up. Like I know something gonna happen if I'm just up that late. Like and I'll just be creative and something. Just I'm gonna put that together. But how I came up with this hat, I was working at Lids. Like you feel me? And I was just like at Lids all day, just looking at hats. Like okay, like you feel me? And then like I just seen the Yankee hat. And I was like Like I was just challenged. Like I was picking every team. Like what can I make? Oh, Angelo with the Atlanta Braves. And I see now. I was like Crenshaw. I was like I said, no, that don't. Is the words even match to do that? And I did. And I was like, oh, like, and I know how to use the embroidery machine. I'm like very like savvy with that. But my manager at the time, I was like, oh, I want to put this on the front of the hat. Oh, you're not allowed to write on the front of the hats. Like, so that was just like a whole creativity stop block right there. So it was like a couple weeks before like I actually went to another embroidery shop and actually got it done. So like I would say, but like another step-by-step process you would have to, I would say, is finding hats, because sometimes I can't even find this hat because it's like a colorway that's like not like the team's color.
Right.
So you just gotta like do your research and go to different places. But like some goals that I have, like I would say, is like I'm about to start creating my own hat blanks.
Right.
Like not by New Era's, by Intangible.
That's dope. A lot of people, and this hat really is like once I seen I think you guys did a photo shoot, had like the girls were wearing a hat in front of Crenshaw, and then I seen Glass was wearing a hat. So once I seen that, I was like, bro, because normally the original Crenshaw hats that Nipsey and like something like those were, of course, those are big, but these are just like a different style, and I feel like a lot of women like these hats. There's something about the Yankee sign that I don't know. But
Yeah, like,
it just looks, it's different.
yeah, shout out to Blast, and there's actually like a story behind the hat. Like it was on my website, but like it even goes back to baseball. Like Darryl Strawberry was the #1 draft pick out of Crenshaw High School to the New York Mets, and then he played for the Yankees.
Wow.
And growing up, my favorite baseball player was Derek Jeter. Like if you play baseball, it's like you a Jeter fan. So like it ties into that too, as well as the Crenshaw district. Like it just all kind of like hit me. Like it just all made sense, like from like multiple aspects in my life. So, but yeah, like the first celebrity that I got to own a hat was Dom Kennedy. So shout out to him as well. And that kind of like gave me kind of like a little platform, like me taking a picture with him to other people reaching out. And then when I met Blast, I was at Leo's Tacos. I was telling my friend about him too. Like we listening to his music. So I'm about to throw the trash away. He hops out the car like right next to me. I swear, like it was like a movie. I'm like, Blast? Like you feel me? Like, and then he was like, oh, what's the deal? Like he was like a very genuine person, gave me like the real handshake. So mind you, it's COVID, So then, like, I'll walk away, but then, like, something just told me, I went up to him, I'm like, yo, I got a clothing brand, like, you feel me? And he was like, well, what is it, like, you feel me? So he added me, like, he follows me. And I didn't, like, I wouldn't expect somebody to do that. So he told me his sizes and everything. The next day I hit him up, put up on him, and then, like, the rest is history. He's been, like, supporting, like, ever since him and his whole team.
I bet you it probably feels different when it's those type of people that's actually from Los Angeles, from the city. Dom, Blast, actually, know the area, know the history, Crenshaw, and I bet it probably is different when they reach out to you and they put it on. It's like,
It's actually helped a lot. Like after Blast Ward, Rucci hit me up, it's just like dope, like the whole community, and that actually helped because Rucci's from Inglewood,
right?
So like, cause at first people like when I first created the hat, it was 2019. Like I was wearing it by myself. Everybody's like, oh, I'm not wearing it. That's crazy. Like, but then like once I like rebranded and like they start understanding, like we're able to hear my voice. Then like it's just like it's more like it's like super like trendy now. Like people in Inglewood are from Inglewood, but now it's like like you feel it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
So it's just dope. Like I really like how it's kind of grown and become.
And then your step-by-step process is crazy. Like,
Yeah, mine is so different. Like I said, I started off making edits on my iPhone 6S. It was like this big, and it was nothing I could do, but it was stuff that I could do, if that makes sense. I started off on my phone, so that's when I finally upgraded to the correct software, would be my iPad and my Apple Pen. And then, so basically I tell all my clients, like, DM me and let's get started. Everything is one-on-one, like everything is one-on-one. So I sit down with them and like, what is it that you need? They tell me and they'll tell me like, oh, I want you to freestyle, or this is exactly how I want it. And then from there, I just go to work. I use my different apps and softwares, and I go through, and when I tell you it's literally like back and forth with the client, like I send it to them. You think this good, or should I move it over? Like I literally want everything to be perfect because that's my name, not only their name, but that's my name. Like they're gonna tell people, oh, this person made my logo. So because of that, I make sure everything is perfect, and I make sure that the client is satisfied, that they're happy with it, because that's ultimately like what I said, that's what I do. Like I'm pleasing these people, delivering to them what it is they want. And also like your logo is everything. Like your logo and how you project yourself on, whether it be your website or Facebook or your social media, your platform is everything. Like people nowadays are so attracted to stuff that's appealing to see. Like, so that's my job. That's where I come in. People come to me because they're like, she's gonna get it done. She's gonna help me get to where I wanna go. So yeah, with my step-by-step, at first it was just all digital, but then that's when I rebranded and I started adding in like small business things, so the business cards and stuff. So when I added on that service, I had to really sit down with vendors and see like who did I want to go through, because I didn't want to offer the best quality to my clients. Like I didn't want cheap stickers or cheap business cards. I wanted everything high tech. So yeah, that's when I started adding everything on, and yeah, one-on-one with each client. Yeah.
Not adversity. We all deal with adversity many different ways, but you can start with this one. But talk to me about, just what you had to overcome. Like, what was something in the beginning that you had to really overcome? Like, man, I gotta fix this, or something that was nagging you, or something that wasn't letting your business take off. Like, what was something that you had to learn?
I had to learn that I had to really sit down and learn like some things you can't do, Makayla. Like some things you really can't. You can't tell people yes all the time. You got to really sit down and be like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I can't do this right now, but I'm gonna get it together. But like this is something I can't do right now. And I also had to learn budgeting. Like I had to make sure that all these apps, because Photoshop isn't free, all these apps that I use aren't free. So I had to make sure that I was profiting correctly, because at first I wasn't. I was charging like $5 and a few dollars for a logo, and I'm like, you're spending hours up making this stuff and you're not profiting at all. So I really had to sit down and get focused on the money aspect of my business, because that was all not together. And then secondly, I probably would say I had to overcome the clients too. Some people are rude. Some people don't think you have a life aside from your business. And to me, that kind of like, it made me sensitive, I guess. Like I didn't really know how to like talk to people or hold a conversation with them like I do now. Considering I started at 15, some people would not even say hello. They're just like, what's your pricing? Can you do this? And I had to realize, Makayla, this is a business. You can't take it personal. It's a business, but you as the professional have to remain professional when holding the conversation. So yeah.
What about you?
I think that when I was first starting out, so let's say like, March to August like range, it was like I would have drops and I wouldn't sell anything. like obviously that's not like a way to run a business. So I feel like that was definitely like an adversity that I had to overcome. But that's when I just like rebranded, and that's when I started doing this stuff. So I don't think that my brand would be what it is today if I didn't have those like those like drops where it's like, dang, I didn't really sell anything, you know. So
I know how that feels because when I first like Cohesive was a family brand, so that was something that we were just having for ourselves, and it was athletic. So like people liked the hoodies, and they wanted to buy one. So I know how that feels because like I literally had a box, 100 hoodies, nobody wanted to buy one. So I know how that feels.
Really do.
Yeah, nobody wanted to buy one. So I know how that feels to try to hustle, or you have to figure out what is something that you can do, a different design or a different logo. Like what is some ways to be versatile, because some people may get tired of just wearing that one thing and just having that one thing in their closet. Like there's no versatility to the brand. There's no options. So I had to learn that. I think that's what I had to overcome. What about you?
I would say for me is like I'm still learning, but I had to learn, like, you feel me, like I like adversity. I like being like like against the odds. I like, you feel me, the pressure, and I have to learn that I don't need the pressure to be motivated or to like really get it done. Like all right. Another thing was like my website. When I did orders, and then all these orders start coming in, and I couldn't find the size hat, or like I bought them all, or like I had to pack everything myself, and I asked my friends, and they would be, oh, I got to work, I'm busy. So I kind of had to learn to be like more to myself, more independent, more like, all right, I gotta focus. I can't go play no video games. I can't go out. Okay, I gotta stay home. I gotta fulfill all these orders like that, because you can't, because you don't want to get no email from someone like you feel me, say, oh, I've been waiting. Like that's kind of like you feel that on your heart, especially if you have one. And another thing is like that I had to learn was like to be more strategic. Like I was shipping out orders quick, and some people were filing chargebacks.
Oh, yeah.
Like especially with the pandemic, the EDD people were buying hats, but then I never, like, you feel me. So like I took some losses due to that. Yeah, fraud.
Yeah.
I took some losses due to that, and it's like even if I disputed, it was like it's going. It's just an L that I had to take. So that's why I try to be more hands-on than like, or if I do online, is gonna be pre-order. So it's like it's gonna be like at least 2 weeks. So I'm gonna know if you're gonna try to charge back or not. Like and I had to learn how to deal with chargebacks. So that was like a big thing. I lost like 500 like in chargebacks at least.
You said that happened to you. Like,
Yeah.
is that like a thing we see where it's like, for example, I'm gonna put like an example there, like when people order from DoorDash, they're like, oh, I didn't get my order after it. Is that like something? Is that
It's like when you order from Nike, it'd be like, oh, you caught a bag, it'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, I never
but people
ordered
try to
something.
do it, like when you're a small business, people try to do a small business, so that's why they trying to. Yeah, like with me, at first, people would try to scam me, like actually not pay me, because I didn't used to do deposits. Like I didn't do deposits. It would just be like, you tell me what you want, I'll send you a screenshot. Then I trust you. I trust my clients. No, like I had to $5 deposit. Like I had to be strict on that and make a policy. And I feel like when you have a small business, like everybody's business is going to have certain policies, and I feel like that should be respected. Like even if you just are starting up, you need to lay down those, not rules, but lay down these policies so people know you serious. Like this is my money. Like people really be trying to play with people's money, and I don't like that. I had people do that to me, so that's when my mom was like, okay, what if you do deposits, so that they don't have to pay the full thing, but pay a deposit so that you can know these people are serious about furthering on with the process. So yeah.
When I was watching a podcast, and they were talking about how, when you have a brand or a business, and a lot of people, a lot of people, close friends or close people around you, they'll be like, oh, let me get a discount. And how do you guys, just deal with that per se, like knowing, because I know we all have close friends who get, the benefit of the doubt. You'll probably like, wear this for me, bro. They're gonna support you. But how do you just deal with the people who want a handout? Like, how do you keep it, like you said, professional? Like, how do you do it?
All right, so they gonna be watching this. But so the people that like, I just kind of like, I was just like kind of just like ignore them kind of, or like oh yeah, like you feel me, like I'm actually sold out, or be like, everything has been like, I did pre-orders, and they're like, because a lot of people hit me like, bro, like I can really help your brand blow, like, and it's like, if you want to help my brand blow, why can't you support me? Like, you know,
Right.
a lot of people are selling hats, fitted hats for 120, 150. Like, it's $80. Like, I know it's if you can't afford that. Like, okay, I have trucker hats. I have other options. Like, you feel me? Or even if they just came to me kind of like man to man, like, yo, like I really like this, and like, you know, I can't afford it. Like, I would work with them. Like, I'm that type of person. Like, okay, like if you really like my brand, if you believe in something that I just came up with, like that much, like talk to me. You feel me? I respect that, like to the utmost. But the people who just like got like a lot, like 10,000 followers and just think like they could just skate by, like those people, I kind of just be like, oh man, like you got it, you got the money, like I kind of like, you know, like hype them up, like man, you got all that money, man, you can't, like, you feel me? And then it kind of makes them feel like, oh, I do it, and they buy it, like, you know, eventually they gonna buy it, because if they want it, they gonna find a way to get it. I slept out nights to get shoes. Like, I spent, like, these shoes, I got these in 2017. I slept at Shoe Palace, woke up, look, the whole day, they all got backdoored. Luckily, shout out to my family at Undefeated, like, I was able to go there, and, like, I was able to obtain a pair because they didn't backdoor all their pairs.
Yeah, how do you do with that? Like, because I know it's just crazy having certain type of people in your circle and others who want to be in a circle and others who want to represent. Like, how do you handle all of that?
I feel like the main people who've asked me for discounts are like Instagram influencers, but in that situation, I just say, oh, you know, like I'm not doing promo right now. You know, just keep it real professional because it isn't anything personal. But like my close friends, all of them have been really like willing to support and like pay full price. They insist on it, so that's something I'm really grateful for. But yeah, that's honestly how you deal with it. Just be professional, or like, oh, bro, like I'm not trying to give out like free clothes right now. And you know, we all generous people. At the end of the day, you know, if you really are like somebody like that, like mess with them, you're gonna give them some free stuff. But it shouldn't have to be set after like.
But everybody who asks for free stuff do not post you. Like,
Oh yeah,
everybody
that part.
will be like, oh, like, come on, bro, like I can see you doing your thing. Let me get a header. So like, bro, you don't even follow the brand page.
Yeah, I hate
Like,
that. Message request.
No, like, no, I'm talking, no, I see them in person. Like, you don't follow the brand page. Like, you feel me? You don't shout me out. You haven't been to a pop up. Like, you know, like, where have you been? Like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody your friend, like I said, to my loyal clients, yeah, I might give some of my loyal clients like discounts because I appreciate the love and support and I want to return that. Let me help you out by, you know, giving you a promo or a promo code or a discount. But as far as like the friends and families, I feel like in its own way, it's kind of disrespectful because it's like, you know how hard I work and you know, you've seen my growth out of everyone because you are a friend or a family member. So like Mia said, you just gotta keep it professional, keep it real. Like, this is a business. That's my favorite term. Like, when I get like little kids DMing me like, please, and I'm like, I would, but this is a business. This is a business. This is how I make my money. This is how I live. So yeah.
And I also feel like, you know, I think it was Future that said this in like an interview. He was like, do you go into Gucci and ask for a discount like those? And I feel like you gotta take yourself as seriously as a brand like Gucci takes themselves. When you take yourself seriously and you professional, you establishing yourself as a professional business person, people are gonna recognize that and they're gonna see, okay, this is something I need to pay attention to.
One thing that people forget is the time and effort we put behind all of this. It's so much time and effort aside from our personal lives. Like, I feel like business owners, like, to the public, they forget that we have our own lives. Like, I get people DMing me all the time, like, is my logo done? You ordered it today. No, it's not done. But then, yeah, like, I feel like people forget that we do have our own lives, but our business is our life as well. So yeah.
But aside from the hate, like, let's talk about the love that you guys get. Like, how I know it's an unexplainable feeling when people walk up to you and they be like, I love what you're doing, keep going, because that's motivation. So how do you guys feel about, you know, when you guys get love? Like, what is that feeling like?
I would say like my last pop up on Melrose, you know, like it was like an event in Vegas, like a lot of people went, so it was like, dang, it was like November 2nd. I'm like, dang, like what's going on? Like everybody gone, but I was nervous. I was like, dang, are we gonna sell or what's gonna go up? But the day of the pop up, people I did not expect to come came, and I was selling $100 hoodies. Like my hats was ranging from, like the beanies were like 25, and the most expensive hat was 150. Like people were just, oh, here you go. Like that was something that like really like made me start taking myself more serious because they were like, oh, like you feel they were taking me serious. Like you feel me? Like I was like nervous if I was gonna sell out or not. Like you feel me? But then once I just start seeing it, and random people walking in like, oh, I've seen this before. Like let me get that. Like you got this, and I was just like, okay. Like that was like love from people I don't know. Like it's like very like like that make me feel like dang, like that's crazy. You know?
I feel like the love that you get from other people, I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of having a business, honestly, because when you creatively put yourself out there, like it's your business, your brand online, when you put something out there like that, it is kind of scary because you never know the response. But to receive like overwhelming love from people, like I feel like that really just kind of affirms like what you're doing, and I feel like that's my favorite part. Like when people are like, oh, like this is so dope, or people come up to me, oh, is your name Mia? Like you got that little brand, like your stuff is hard. Like that's crazy to me. Like that's so dope. Like that's probably one of my like favorite things about running the brand. Period. Like that feeling is like it's amazing.
Yeah, the support when it comes to my business, oh man, like I always get so emotional because it's like, dang, like y'all really mess with me heavy.
Right.
Like even y'all, like it's just so crazy to see because I'm just this little kid from Gardena. Like who would have thought? Like I'll be strolling down my timeline and all I see is my logo on jackets, logos that I've made on jackets. It's on hats and stuff. And I just be like, dang, like I made that and I made that happen. So when people repost my stuff, like it, enter my giveaways, it just all makes me emotional. Even if it's I feel like it hits different when it's not even friends and family, but when it's strangers, people you don't even know. I've had people I don't even know like, thank you so much for making my logo. Like you're the best. I get tips all the time. I just be like, dang, like it just makes you want to keep going. Like I have some bad days, but then you gotta remember why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to remember there are people out there who love and support that what you're doing.
I think also I would say like I think sometimes it depends on the way you portray yourself in your character. I think that a lot of people that you may not necessarily know personally, but from social media or people may know you through a friend. I think the character piece is big because I would say like a lot of us we're gonna make sales because of the type of people we are, or the people that we know, and they like you as a person. So I feel like having that be one of the reasons why you may your brand may blossom is because the person you are is a really good feeling, along with people you don't necessarily know by your stuff. I think when you're a better person, you have great character, you show what type of person you are, you help people, you're generous. I think the reason why people will buy from you because of that is also a really exciting feeling and a motivational piece to keep being yourself, keep being a better person. So in terms of like you guys' brand and everything, like what has been you guys' biggest accomplishment you guys would say since you started, or even right now, like what is you guys' biggest accomplishment? What's your biggest accomplishment? Like, cause you guys are really doing your thing right now. So what would you say is just like something that was just like, man, I'm really doing it.
I would say like taking the trips this summer, like going to Atlanta and New York, like to push my clothing brands. Like my mom forbidden me to go to Atlanta. Like she forbidden me. COVID was going on. Like it was like I technically got kicked out for going like for a little bit, but my friends drove like to Atlanta. Like I missed the drive, and the next day I'm like I'm going. I booked a flight, Spirit. Like you feel me? Like you feel me? It was my first time ever getting on a plane. I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm going. Don't tell Mom. Like I just took an Uber to the airport. Met my friends out there. They picked me up. They didn't think I was coming, and that was like the best thing I could have ever done. Because while we out there, I didn't have no hats or anything. I just had shirts, like. So while we were out there, like we met so many people, like just walking through because Atlanta was open, and it just being like at first they were just like ignore us. So I was like, watch this. I'm like, hey, we came all the way from LA, huh?
Facts.
Huh? Like you feel me, like, and like that was just the whole thing, like that whole thing, like. And then it was dope because like one of our friend Keon, his uncle, he made a phone call and then we got introduced to some people out there, and then we ended up seeing Lil Baby out there. We get like Lil Baby supported our brand and got some stuff from us, like while we was out there. So like that was like a big thing, like oh damn, like we out here, like you feel me? We had a car, we was driving around, we was meeting people. So that, and then New York, New York, like with the hats, that changed everything for me because I was able to find these in every color. I networked with a store. Shout out to Caps USA Harlem. I'm gonna be back out there this summer. Yeah, like everything was just like falling into place because it's like I understand now why people come to LA. Like everybody from different places all be on Melrose. They all from other places, and then they just get all this love. And it's like when we go to their places, we get all that love. So you can't just be stuck in Los Angeles. Like if you got a brand or you doing anything, gotta travel. Like you gotta get out there. That's the only way. The only way it's gonna do numbers. Like for real.
If you can do it out there,
And then they take you serious because you came from LA.
Right.
Like they like, oh, you serious? Like,
Yeah.
and you could be not serious at all. Like you could just be like, oh, I just came up with a brand, but they gonna take you serious, and you gonna start taking yourself serious. It's like it forces, like you feel me? You force yourself to elevate.
that's dope. What do you say?
I think my biggest accomplishment would definitely be like it's actually in these garments. They all got like my neck tags in it, so it says "Made by Me in Los Angeles," and that was honestly a really proud moment because that's when it started to feel like, oh, this is mine. This is my brand. But yeah, I think that was definitely one of my biggest accomplishments. And then also just like sitting around, like I'll be in my house like filling orders. My house looks like a mess, but it's like I got like garments everywhere, but like that's cool to me. That's all the support and the love that I've gotten. So I think that every time that happens, so every drop I just feel more, I guess, accomplished. But I do understand that like I'm just getting started. I don't know everything there is to know about the fashion industry. So I think it's also just keeping it humble and just think about what else can I accomplish, not just for me.
Yeah, well, as for me, every day I'm working on upgrading and elevating in any way, form, or possible. But over quarantine, I think Eddie's Mama Kyla really expanded because everybody wanted to start a small business or was really finding their talents over quarantine, whether it be YouTube, nails, hair, clothing, and people need logos for that. So when people started referring me to their friends and family, they would come to me, and then I'm like, okay, I need to offer more things now. Like people, like they'll be like, okay, I just bought a logo, but do you make business cards and this, because I might as well just purchase it all from you. So with that, I'm like, all right, so this is good. Like people are pitching in ideas of what they'll need. So I'm like, okay, let me sit down and get that together. And then over quarantine, that's when I rebranded. I totally rebranded. I got a new logo. I kept my name the same, of course, but I got a new logo. I changed my prices. I added new services on there. And then, yeah, quarantine, though it had its negatives, quarantine allowed me to really sit down and get to know myself, see what I like, see what I didn't like, just as a person, aside from my brand, but just discover myself more as a person, being alone more. It really had an effect on me and my brand and made us grow together. So yeah.
I think a lot of people don't really understand the impact of sitting down and talking about
stuff.
you guys' business and talking about what you guys want to accomplish and telling your stories. I don't think people really understand how big of an impact.
It's crazy because just before like we started actually filming, we were talking about how the world is so small. Like I sold you your first sewing machine.
Shout out
Me
to
and
them.
Josh,
Fly
Pop
flyers,
Warners,
yeah.
and we've been friends since like Pop Warner, Inglewood, Gardena Mohicans. Like it's really crazy. You know his cousin, he know your, like it's so crazy like how connected everybody is, and it's so great to see that we're all doing something at such a young age. Like I have older people always come up to me like teenagers nowadays are so dope. Like we're so dope. Like we're 17, 18, like at these young ages doing so much, making a living for ourselves. Like it feels so good to be able to purchase something without having to ask my mom or my dad for money. Like being able to buy a car and being able to buy stuff for myself, knowing that I did that. This was me. It's just a great feeling, and it's cool to see my friends and people in my neighborhood doing the same thing. So.
What? Oh, what was that?
I was just gonna say, I think that the reason like everyone's sitting here is like we all have these ideas, but we're like she said able to follow through. But I also feel like the ability to be persistent and keep going when it gets hard. I feel like that's something that a lot of people lack, and that's why some people will start something and then they'll just stop.
Yep.
But I feel like if you take something and you really push it through and you trying to grow, that's how you really gonna get that long lasting success.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like when I first did Intangible, like in like my college people, like I actually stopped for a while. You know, I was just focusing on my sports and my school, like so I'm like, oh, like Intangible was there, but like I'm not gonna drop anything. So like it was like probably like 7 months I haven't dropped nothing, like didn't think about nothing, and then like what really like sparked me back. Somebody stole my idea. Like somebody, like I see, like everybody sending me this post, like who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And like it just, like I was just so furious. Like you know, like you feel, I started posting. He called me, like I'm just like we exchanged words, and then like he's like, oh my bad, I didn't know. And then it was like on top of that, he stole somebody else's idea too that I knew, like because he was just showing me stuff like in his house. I'm like, that's my friends. Like, you feel like you feel so at this point, but he was claiming like he's never seen anything, but so that kind of like really like motivated, like, you know what? If I don't move, like my ideas is just gonna be gone. Like, I might as well capitalize off my ideas before somebody else does.
Yeah.
And then the thing was, like, I would see people in the comments like, oh, this is hard. Like, people I didn't know that he knew. This is crazy. Like, oh, this is dope. I need this. So I really was like, and then after that, then it's just, that's how I knew, like, I just got to keep going.
Yeah.
What is I want to ask this question because, like, you guys are all going to blow up even more. So what is a level or a goal that you want to reach that you feel like, you can't get to right now, but like maybe in 5 years, like what is the peak or that thing that you just imagine, like once I do this for this person or I get on this magazine or I do this, like what would you say is something that you just thought about and was like, I want that?
Well, I say like in like 5 years, like when I get to that point, I want to like not only have my brand, but I want to design for like Undefeated and Stussy and Union Los Angeles and like brands like that, and like even other brands, like just give my creative direction. And also I want to have traveled, like did a pop-up in London. I want to be known, like like, oh, like when you think of like Los Angeles or like streetwear or hats, you think of Angelo, like, oh, he the king, like, you feel me, he did that, like. And I also want to have my own hat company, like it's gonna be called Intangible Hats. Like I'm gonna sponsor Crenshaw High School baseball team with my hat brand. Like that's a plan, that's a goal of mine when they do get back to playing. Just so basically like deleting the middleman. When people are coming to me for creative direction, I'm on, like, I'm just doing what I want to do. I'm traveling. If I get a store, I get a store. If not, I'm fine without it.
I think a goal for me would be like getting a warehouse and then getting a store, because like you said, you gotta cut out the middleman. Because if you think about it, you deal with a lot of people, especially with clothes, right? You've got to deal with the people, the fabrics, or you got to deal with just buying the blanks, and then you got to deal with the screen printers. But I think it's like vertical integration. If you vertically integrate and you own every part of that process, I think that's really powerful, like in and of itself. And I do eventually want to have a store too, but that's definitely just like you said, 5 years. That's definitely a goal. But I already have my store design in my head, so you already know I'm going crazy.
Well, yeah. As for me, I do want to do some partnerships with people. I don't really care for the term celebrity. Like whoever down. Let's get to it. Let's start right now. I do want to collab with people. Sit down, like you said, give my creative input, because aside from a graphic designer, I do strongly feel like I have that creative mindset. Whereas I can create, like, you can tell me something and I'll get it down visually for you. Like I'm a deliver. I can deliver things. So with that, I do want to expand my business and expand it more towards the marketing direction as well, like helping people market their brand, get their page together. I do want to start doing websites. Everybody asks me, do you do websites? Do you do websites? I'm still working on that, because when I launch, I want it to be perfect. So stay tuned for that. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be where if you ask me, I can deliver it. It can get done. I don't want it to be as where there's any restrictions of that sort. So yeah, I just want to upgrade my business in that way, collab with more people. Like he said, aside from LA, I'm just Atlanta, Miami, wherever, literally wherever.
One person, one celebrity, one person or one actress, one athlete, whoever, that you want to wear or you would love to wear you guys' stuff, and a person that you would want to make a flyer or do a YouTube intro or do anything for.
Okay.
Alright, so I've already been on the hunt. I've already made 1-2 flyers.
But someone is like, he get on a magazine and put it on, or he took a picture, put it on, and like tag.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm on the hunt for this person.
Oh, yeah.
I've already made 1-2 flyers. This person knows who they are, and if you're watching this and you can help me, I need to get. Well, I would love to get Janae Aiko in one of my hats. That is somebody that I've been campaigning. We went viral on Twitter. You've seen this post, Janae. You've seen my hats. Like I would think it would be dope if you would reach out, or like if we could set something up and I could get you in one of my hats.
She's so LA too. So.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like, why is she playing with me?
I think the person that I want to wear my stuff is Lauren Lundy. Absolutely.
Why Lauren?
Just because I love everything that I feel like she embodies. She's from LA, real LA girl, but I also feel like she values, loyalty, and she stayed down, you befriended even after you passed. And that's something I really respect. And I also like how she's she seems to be very like spiritual and very like or becoming at peace and very like a strong woman, and I feel like that's just someone who I feel like would embody type of like my brand kind of.
For me, I love SZA. Like, I love SZA. I love her aesthetic. And if she was to ask me to make her a flyer, oh, baby, I would make that flyer so fast. Like album, I do album covers too. Like, I literally do basically anything. So if SZA was to text me right now, Eddie's by Michaela, and say like I need anything, I do it for her. Like, I do it.
Who is one person that you guys would just want to shout out and give like any? We all had that one person that just helped us. So who's that person that's just like, thank you. You want to give thanks to, give praise to for helping you?
I want to give praise and thanks to my mom and my nana. My mom and my nana is basically my everything. Like, through everything I've ever wanted to do, even if I didn't want to do graphic design, say I wanted to make shoes, they would support me above anyone, anybody. If I needed it, they were there. If I didn't have it or I couldn't get it for myself, not even because they're family, but just because they're those type of people. My mom and my nana would deliver it to me, so shout out to them.
Shout out to my mom as well. She's always been supporting me. Like, she always calls herself my intern. She might help me, package stuff up. But it's also her support, and I really appreciate that. And she always encourages me to invest in myself. So shout out to you, Mom.
Alright, I want to shout out a couple of people. I want to shout out my pops, you feel me? Kind of like showing me the ropes, like, the blueprint, like even like telling me like places I could go, like, even like, cause I'm like hard-headed, so sometimes he might tell me something and I'm just gonna do it my way regardless. But like the fact that like, he even gives me his input is cool. Shout out to Ali, he runs the store Undefeated on the bread. He's like giving me like a lot of opportunities like a lot of people wouldn't have given to someone. And I like to shout out like all my friends, like, you feel me, anybody who's ever like giving me a ride somewhere, anybody who's ever like, you feel me, like shouted me out like for nothing, anybody who's ever like spoke good on my name, And I also want to shout out all my haters, like, you feel me, because there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, shout out to all.
You feel me? Shout out to all.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who supports the brand, whether it's like liking, commenting, tagging, even purchasing. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, shout out to every single one of my followers, all my supporters, friends and families, and shout out to everybody who supports me.
Last thing, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who's in your field, or just anyone in general, like anything in general? What is one piece of advice that you would give to the one person that's watching?
Keep going. Don't stop. Like, your time will come around. Like enjoy the process as well. I would say enjoy it. Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself that time to elevate and grow. Do your research. Sit down and just do what you have to do to get to where you want to be.
I would say to be patient with yourself, especially when it comes to designing. You cannot force creativity, so I would just encourage you to be patient, understand that the idea is gonna come, your time is also gonna come, but even though you have a dope idea, I'd also encourage you to make sure you put in that work and being true to yourself and make sure you go about things the right way. Cut any corners, even if it takes you longer.
I would say do what makes you happy, like, you feel me, like, do what feels right and don't let too many people get in your head. Like, I feel like you should always have 3 people, a negative person, a positive person, and somebody who's in the middle. And then at the end of the day, you're still going off like how you feel. You feel me? Don't let because if somebody told Drake your name should be Drake, it should be Blackberry. Like, you feel me? Like, he was like, oh, like, you feel, I'm gonna be Blackberry. Like, we would not know Drake.
We would not know.
Come on, like, just be yourself. Like, at the end of the day, and I feel like once you're able to find comfort and like, confidence in being yourself, that's when everything will start aligning.
Most definitely.
And save your money and invest in yourself.
Yes.
Like, you feel me? Like,
Don't
I done
lie.
went broke so many times,
No.
but I went broke investing in myself.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, if you go broke investing in yourself, that is a good thing. Buying your LLC when it's time, just buying product. Like, if you go broke buying a whole bunch of hoodies and like, just getting like the legal stuff done, you're gonna feel broke. Oh, you can't go out this weekend, but in a month, you're not gonna be broke again. Like, that's one thing I feel like as an entrepreneur that we have to learn. Like, I go broke every time I do a drop. Or like every time, like,
man,
you go broke. You eat ramen noodles for like, or like, you feel me, like, Dad, can I get $5? Like, you feel me, like, you literally going broke, and if people might think like, oh, like, he broke, like, why he not going out? But it's like, I'm investing in myself because in the long run, it's gonna pay off.
Right, you gotta be willing to sacrifice that too. So I feel like that's hard for a lot of young people because you see, the lifestyle that people live, people that, people look up to, right? It's athletes, rappers, and you see them blinged out with like $100,000 chains, and it's like some people maybe strive for that lifestyle, but you can't have that until you go broke with this,
All y'all have inspired me, like in general, like no cap, like I get inspired by like a lot of people, so I hope like I inspire people as well. So like that's the thing.
Whole goal behind the show is to inspire you guys and just show like everybody's on the rise. You can do it from your hometown. All you need is you yourself. Like you yourself and something like that. Yeah, that's it. That's how you come out. Episode 3 of the ComeUp is a wrap.
Look, baby, the circus here. Elephant in the room, what's your purpose here? Been having a perfect year. I'm finna take the whole hood to go surf this year. Hotter than Haiti, I'm mama's little baby. Been grinding like crazy, I fell off, did a 180. Got back on the grind, same time, was skating, a lot of fakies. I need a thick chick like Tasty. Hands in the air, reach for the stars. Fill up the bag, we want it all. Need all the cash, we tryna ball. Love when she put stacks out like a ball. That's my little peanut butter, buttercup. For her, I'ma ride, baby, put 'em up. Know I'm right behind, baby, back it up. Tryna knock us off the grind, baby, join the club. That's my little peanut